Africa has a population of just a little over 1.4 billion people, and to each and every single one of you, yes, toddlers included, I say, welcome to AER, where amongst other things you get to enjoy what we have today, which is one of my ridiculous rants. I am your host, your soon-to-be favorite Uncle Omari, and it is truly a great pleasure to have you here for this video and for all other videos before and videos to come. Now, I am feeling a little bit under the weather today, so the hype levels of this video might sound a little bit off. Nah, who am I kidding? We just hit 100 subs and I am truly grateful for all the beautiful souls who have subscribed to the channel thus far. Hell, I'll do you one better. I am thankful for everyone who has spent a single second watching a video on this channel, as that has helped propel the rest of the videos to people who have actually gotten to subscribe to the channel. Hit subscribe below if you have been enjoying the video content on this channel to help continue building this beautiful community. We welcome you. And to my non-African viewers and subscribers, don't you dare move a muscle. That intro was very purposeful because it was going to tie into the rest of this video, but I am thankful for each and every single one of you as well. I hope that through this channel I can help you understand our entertainment media better and even appreciate it as much as I do. Your support has been precious and immeasurable, and I cannot thank you all enough for sharing with us through the comment section and for subscribing and joining the larger community. Now, I'll be frank that the topic of today's discussion is one that I had way before I started this channel. And in the spirit of said frankness, the initial video idea was going to take the form of more of a scolding for what I felt was the general attitude of African audiences towards African entertainment media, more so African film and TV. However, the longer I sat with this video idea, the more I realized how opinionated and biased that video would have come out. So I'm still going to give you a snippet of what the original idea was, which was basically my personal experience with African entertainment media, as well as what I could gather from previous social interactions on the subject matter. However, now I will be including some of the things I did find from my research on market analysis on African film and TV, as well as a special segment at the very end where I will be giving you more representations from different people in different rooms rather than just my personal opinion, well, from my personal room. So let's get it started. Growing up in the 90s, where streaming worldwide was non-existent, and especially in Africa where everything on TV was either a few years behind or was dictated by satellite TV stations, my exposure to African entertainment media of that ilk were either our local Kenyan productions or the absolute multitude of Nollywood TV movies, whose rights were more affordable for our local TV channels. This isn't to say that we didn't get Hollywood movies, but if you are going to watch it on TV, you are going to have to watch a movie that was several years older. For the more newer releases at the time, you had to own a VCR and go rent a tape at your local movie store. The good old days. However, these good old days did kind of leave a bad taste in our mouths. This is because the multitude of Nollywood TV movies that I spoke about earlier were kind of samey, in that they had the following in common. They recycled storylines and themes, they recycled the character actors, and they were pretty much low budget. Now, this isn't to say that the African entertainment media sphere was barren of gems. We had a few, like the Tanzanian movie Shumileta, which looks abysmal today, but back then, trust you me, this was the scariest thing you could ever watch. Ever. And I wouldn't even go down the list of the Kenyan gems that we had because I would be here all day. There were some classics, especially on TV, way back then. The good old days. Where I have called out Nollywood though, these issues were not specific or unique to them. These were ones that applied across the continent. Most movies did feature these three characteristics. Not to mention, if you weren't very keen back then, you wouldn't even know the country of origin for most of these African TV films. Obviously, Nollywood aside, the accent the accent just gives it away. With these characteristics being so common, it kind of bracketed what African entertainment media could offer, even if that wasn't quite the case. So it really is no surprise that a majority of the African audience turned to alternative world cinema options in Hollywood, Bollywood, and others, thereby leaving the African entertainment media that was available on local TV in an unfavorable spot. And this attitude carried forward. Locally, for example, these movies were associated more with the house helps and housewives who stayed home for long periods of the day, thus being exposed to these TV movies. Hence the term, movies are mamboch. Which is quite unfortunate because for some people who form part of that African audience, they never went back or ever got exposed to other types of African entertainment media. Won't hear any complaints from me though, because that situation actually birthed this channel, looking into the past, present, and future of African entertainment media, uncovering gems and rediscovering the beauty of African art. If you're into that, you know what to do. However, I would be lying if I myself weren't just a little bit skeptical about doing this as the core main theme of this channel. I really didn't want to be that guy on the internet talking about movies are mamboch. Until a few years back when I dipped my toes into the warm welcoming pool of African cinema and discovered the new state of African film and TV. Where earlier I did say the new state of Africa film and TV, what I actually did mean is the state of African film and TV in the new landscape where the internet rules all. Enter streaming, which looked us squarely in the eyes and told us, good old days?
Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Yes, technological advances brought about by the internet pose the potent question to African creatives. How will you cope in the new entertainment media scene? The answer is, unsurprisingly, very well. If you know anything about Africans, we love a challenge. Why do you think we have so many third world countries? It's because we want to play life in hard mode, without any of the new game plus perks. But all jokes aside, the new streaming wave has actually helped boost filmmaking in Africa. Not only has it gotten some of our older movies out there for more people to see, but it has also challenged our creatives to make more unique and different stories from the ones of the days past. Now more than ever, there is a more free-form nature to African storytelling that doesn't bind its creatives to previously used themes and plot lines. This is not to mean that the African identity in our stories has been lost, though it would be wrong to say that it hasn't happened in some cases. But now we can see more of our stories pronounced through genres that weren't as prominent previously, such as the supernatural and even sci-fi. To an extent, we didn't even have that many action class movies or shows on TV. Whilst most of our movies were bogged down on the reality of issues on the ground, giving them a feeling of pushing agenda or showing some struggle, nowadays African creatives feel more free to create just for the sake of creating. The beautiful and talented Wanuri Kahiu of Pumzi and Rafiki renown labeled this as Afro bubblegum art. Fun, freeform, and yummy works of art by African creatives to give Africans and people outside Africa a fresh perspective on what the African identity is in African entertainment media.
Afro bubblegum work, which is fun, fierce, and frivolous African art. It has no agenda. It has no policy. It's not trying to save everyone or anyone. It's not trying to do anything. It's not trying to, it's really just the celebration of art for art's sake.
Showmax, the African streaming platform, is now joined by Netflix, Disney+, BBC Studios, Canal+, Sony Pictures, and Prime Video in a competition to find the next big thing in entertainment media, and their hunting ground is none other than the African continent. With data showing that the film and audiovisual industries account for about $5 billion per year in Africa, with the potential to rise to $20 billion, it's no surprise that everybody wants a piece of this pie while sourcing for fresh and unique stories that could even drive this number higher if they can rake it a global audience. But before we can even start thinking of a global audience, we need to first do a little bit of introspection. Do we as Africans have a pretentious audience? According to data, the supercilious nature of the African audience isn't, well, super serious. Per Showmax's streaming data of the past year, 7 of the 10 most streamed titles in South Africa, 8 out of 10 in Kenya and Nigeria, and 9 out of the 10 in Ghana were all African productions, thus making African titles the most prioritized and watched content in this streaming platform that really doesn't lack any variety in its catalog. This shows that there is a hunger for African content in the African continent. I tried pulling the viewership numbers for African content on other streaming platforms, however this data wasn't as easily available as I would have liked. I probably should have also wrapped up my research on this topic here, as this video is way too long already. Much props to anybody who has watched it this far, you are a real one. However, my memories of the negative connotation of movies Amamboch as against this data might not be enough for you to make up your mind on the state of the African audience. So I went a step further and I went out to the streets. Well, the internet streets. Enter Reddit and the r/Kenya sub. A great ton of gratitude towards the members of this subreddit who actively engaged with the post. You are all awesome and it is an honor to have your views as part of this video. Tomatillo Medical, or just Tomatillo Medical, says West Africa has destroyed rather than built the African movie industry. Horrible actors, horrible production, and horrible movie plots have been allowed to overshadow a few well-done African movies. You have to filter through a mountain of crap just to get to that gem, and that has made the generalization that African movies are bad. Just open YouTube and search for African movies and see the crap that populates your screen. This all ties back to earlier in the video when I said that the Nollywood TV movies really did burn a lot of people. With Nollywood producing more movies than Hollywood per year, it's nearly guaranteed that the multitude of them would actually turn out to be subpar. And those are the same movies that are broadcast on local TV channels. I personally have really come to respect the work ethic of the Nollywood industry, as has Big Ears Flap, who says that I have never been a fan of these movies, but they do seem to capture and entertain a lot of people. In economic terms, I'll encourage anyone to read the research paper titled The Nollywood Consensus. It allows you to appreciate the role of Nollywood in economic revival and social growth. And Big Ears Flap, my hands clap, because this is actually a very good point here. No matter how you feel about these African TV movies, the socio-economic impact of Nollywood in Nigeria and Africa as a whole cannot be understated. TinyBuzz1432 replied to the post with, "All I want to know is who killed Captain Alex?" To which Sam Gold 27 dropped the line,
Man, the man is killing us, man.
Over. Funa bulungi.
Bless the bomb over.
Kibira kyali kikwafu katusoke tusapuleko.
Drop the bomb, man.
and to this all I can say is I cannot wait till you all see my review for this movie. I actually unironically love this film. Fatty Banton inserts their comments saying the ones that are good are really good. Going on to list Viva River, October 1st, Five Fingers for Marseille, Nairobi Half-Life, which you can see the review for down below, Adu, Joy, District 9, and Half a Yellow Sun. Then finishes this comment by saying, and the rest, well, are the rest. It's hard to argue with Banton because they just laid out the facts. Asgard Alien opined, don't know the status of the industry currently, but my main concern was not even the repetitive plots, cheating, witchcraft and the likes. It was the overacting. But boy did I love those old Nigerian elders. First off, Asgard Alien, thank you so much for finally making me understand why Heimdall was a nigger. Always wondered how they had a black man in their ranks. Seems Asgardians just like the occasional trips to Kenya, huh? But more seriously, yes, I do hear you, Asgard Alien. And there are movies that do have elements of overacting in them. But to me, that's kind of part of the charm of some of those movies. Not all, but some. The author 009, fresh from his mission from hunting 007, had this to say in his report. African movies are far too conservative with their cliché plots and boring writing. This doesn't just plague the African movies, it plagues African TV shows too, with themes circulating around rich boy poor maid romances, witchcraft, religion, and the likes. Don't even get me started on how... Wait, you know what? I won't even. I'll just put this on pause for a sec and let everybody get a chance to read your well-articulated points. This here is yet another case of how African TV films burnt out their own African audiences, as we had spoken about earlier. But fret not, Agent 009. Trust you me when I tell you that the African movie industry does indeed have movies that are different, fresh, and unique. And chances are high you will find recommendations and their reviews on this channel. So do subscribe if you haven't. Kenya 254 had this to share. Low quality movies produced are easier to access than good quality movies. People just don't want to pay for quality. Or a good quality movie is illegally obtained, so the movie doesn't even make enough money to break even. So production is very difficult. And I really wasn't expecting a comment from an entire country. This should have really been it. But again, more seriously, this point is actually very factual and a very deep point, as there are records that do show that most of the revenue for movie production are lost through piracy. Chifusumu entered the chat with a promotion for a different subreddit, which, if you are a Kenyan artist or creator, feel free to check it out. They follow this up with, as a movie lover, mi hupenda movies iko na good plot, regardless of the genre ama country of origin. Some African movies nail this aspect so damn well. I think shida ya African movies ni pesa. Movie makers hawana pesa ya kusell their movies. Click Bang, for example, ilikuwa successful due Abel as a platform to advertise it. Most other movies just end up being unknown. Kama si Showmax, singekuwa nimewatch more than half of the Kenyan movies that I have today. And for my non-native Sheng Slang speakers, the abridged version of this is, African productions mostly lack the funding for marketing their films. Thus, these movies never actually break into the market or are never advertised anywhere near enough to make them as successful as their world cinema counterparts. Ulemse chimed in with, I think that Kenyans and or Africans in general do not pay for movies. All our entertainment is generally pirated. Hence investment in the industry is very hard because the average Kenyan would never pay full price for a movie theater and would rather go to a movie shop with 30 bob and get a bootleg price. And here we have yet another astute observation from the African audience ranks about the tendencies of movie piracy. Frequent hosts made us aware of their status of also being burnt by African TV movies, saying, I still have a bad taste in my mouth from watching those Nollywood movies. The likes of She-Devil, Rihanna vs Beyonce made me hate African movies. The thing that's most boring is the same thing in these movies. Shouting, juju, etc. So the brain tends to create that relationship. At this point, you can easily identify the similarity in sentiments and the effects that these low-budget African TV movies impacted onto their own African audiences. As is the case with Major Comfort, who adds, they are simply monkey see, monkey do. Repetitive and copied plots. Finally, wait, let's talk about it, talked us through their thoughts, saying, I think they should start by building a market for Kenyan movies first. I don't think there's enough incentive for it apart from maybe patriotism. Like, just build hype for it. Also, having a platform for Kenyan movies, I don't know if there's one already, and having multiple genres. In summary, just make a lot of movies to build hype and market for the movies before looking into profits. And on this, I think Africa is already on the right path. With Showmax already having a deep catalog, there also exists other streaming platforms which are in the scramble for Africa. African content, don't pick up your weapons, it's not that kind of scramble again. And that actually marked the last piece of feedback that I did get from that subreddit post. I would have loved to get more, especially from a more diverse group rather than just a single country subreddit. However, this video would have been even much longer and I'm not really sure how the viewership on this video will be as is. However, I am still curious. What do you think of African film? Comment down below and let's have a discussion. Thank you so much for your time, especially if you have watched the entire video. I am also working on a celebration video for cracking 100 subs. I still don't know what we're going to be doing for it, but I hope we can come up with something exciting so that we can always enjoy celebrating every milestone we make. Till then, it's been your soon-to-be favorite Uncle Omari, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one.